There it is. Looks like you did a little eating before this one as well.
I enjoy me some nuts. I am a nut guy. I like all kinds of nuts. The only one I'm not overly fond of are the hazelnuts. Um, but I like this. So I grab me usually before each podcast, Insider Secret. Sorry, I grab me some nuts. So
Well, I had the breakfast of champions this morning. My wife made me some some fathead pizza the other day. Oh, it's so good, so good. So I chowed a little bit of pizza.
pizza for breakfast. It's been a long time since I've had pizza for
Yeah,
breakfast.
you know, duck and run. So
Well, my esteemed wife has become over the years. She's become more and more lactose intolerant, and so she can't hardly eat. I mean, she does a little bit, but the cheese and all that stuff too. So I don't. I've cut by proxy. I've cut a lot of that stuff out too.
probably
So yeah,
better.
I haven't had a good pizza in a long time actually. So
Yeah. Well, you know, she even made it emo style. If you're outside of St. Louis, you won't understand, but she made it emo style and even cut it in little emo squares. It
oh, look
was
at that.
so
That's
good.
good stuff. That's good stuff. So, how? Oh, well, I guess welcome right to the Creative Real Estate
Use a
Investing
cheat sheet.
Mastery Podcast. I got it ready to go. How are you doing today, Mr. Kaufman? Other than you enjoyed your pizza for breakfast?
I'm good, man. I've been on a roll here. Like waking up feeling good, getting a good workout in, and I don't know. I could the It's particularly gloomy here in the vacation capital of the world.
Yes, yes, indeed.
But I'm feeling good. I feel I got some energy this week. Last week I was dead. Last week I was I don't know if you remember that, but I could hardly string a sentence together. It was terrible. But doing good. How about you?
Oh, it's all right. Yes, it's all right. I am. I don't know without getting into because we're a real estate investing podcast here, not a consult Ken about his family issues uh, counseling session. But I'm not sure if I'm looking forward to the holidays or not. As you know, so my family dynamics are not always the best. So I don't know. I never know what to expect. I guess is the best way maybe to put it about what's going to happen, and then I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah. So I don't know if I'm looking forward to that. I am looking forward to the new year, though. I am looking forward to 2026. So
Me too, man. I This 2025 has been a killer. Been a killer for me over here.
I don't even know where it went, brother. Like
That's true.
it seemed like we were planning for 2025 about 5 minutes ago, and now we got to start planning for 2026, which we really haven't even. I've started a little bit myself, but for the business and all that stuff. You got a lot of things happening in 2026 already. Like finally going to just kind of from an excitement standpoint, after 4 years of building, this cat is going to get his ass in condos in Cabo, brother. Starting next in 2026, I will be starting to spend some time in my condos in 2026. So
That's awesome.
looking forward to that finally
That's
after
awesome.
many
That's what it's
years.
all about.
So,
Yeah, man. That's cool. That's good to hear. Yeah, it's
so
been a I've we've been together, doing this stuff for since then, and I remember when it started, and it's been I
talking your ear off for 4 years about it. Yes, it's like
trials and tribulations of building condos internationally is yeah,
yeah, it was. It started out great. Then we had some. It was some rough patches, but it's just like investing in real estate in your backyard, right? Like some go great, some don't go so great. Like it's kind of the same thing. But yeah, it's
yes,
all
sir.
good.
Well, I'm
But
glad it's done or getting there anyway. Almost
yes,
nothing's
indeed.
done until the final T's and I's are dotted, but I think
Yeah,
you're on the back end of this whole thing.
yes, indeed. Feeling good about that too, actually. So, but back to the topic at hand, our Sub 2 Empire podcast topic at hand. What are we going to talk about today, Mr. Kaufman?
All right. Well, last week, well, it was the weekend. Last week we talked about buy and holds. We talked about buy and holds as it relates to creative financing. And so naturally, excuse me, naturally this week we want to talk about some short term stuff. Primarily, we're going to talk about wholesaling. We're going to talk about wholetailing, my favorite. And then we're going to
Yes.
talk about, just straight up rehabbing and flipping. Excuse me for 1 second. And some of that pizza.
You just get that's right.
So yeah, and we're going to kind of tie this all into the creative finance world, and really just creative finance is not just a kind of we always talk about, particularly subject to, we talk about it being a method of financing your deals, and it's not just for buy and holds, and it's not just for, I mean, you can, if you really think about it in that sense, it's just a way to get the deals bought and paid for. The way I like to put that is the money's already there, right? The money has already funded that deal. That's the way I like to say it. The deal is already funded. And so how you how you exit that deal, there are many different ways to do that. And so we're going to go through some of that today. And yeah, let's get the ball rolling here.
All right. But yeah, just from last week, the long term. So long term deals, the buy and hold builds the wealth, right? Generationally, like you can pass that on to like a lot of people. I noticed a lot of investors too. They actually start a portfolio, buy and hold portfolio for the kids. It's like their own
Oh yeah.
investment. I
Oh
think their
yeah. Yes.
529 college plan is there as a portfolio of rental properties. Probably a better way to go, right? And then the short term deals are where you just keep cash flowing in there, or maybe there are a lot of the flippers, right? The flippers, the fix and flippers. There's a lot of good money to be made in fix and flips. That ebbs and flows a whole lot more than buying and holding does, though, from the perspective of how much money can you make and sustain it, because that's much more tied to the market up and down,
Correct.
supply and demand and all that, and it's a buyer's market, seller's market, all that stuff. The interest rates also have a big impact on how much you can make on the flipping. So short term, quick turns, smart exits, short term investor playbook today. Love the title. Love
Yeah.
the title.
Yeah.
Creative short term investor playbook today. Beautiful thing.
Yeah. You talked about the. I think before we even get into any of these, any of these different exits, I think we need to talk about a little bit about how how the market, the ebbs and flows of the market, do affect short term deals. And as you said, if you've got a buyer's market, well, in a buyer's market, you generally get lower, lower appraisals, you get lower offers. Um, the your purchasing power lies with the buyer in a buyer's market, whereas the opposite is true in the seller's market. The seller's market is, we just came off of this seller's market where we had just tremendous. Of course, we all know that ties to. There's all kinds of things it ties to. It ties to inflation. It ties to geographically and demographically what is happening in that particular market, or any uh, little section or subsection of that market. It all kind of ties in. But in a seller's market, obviously the kind of the power lies with the seller and being able to get what they want. So that would be a really good time if you're in a seller's market to get into fixing and flipping.
Yep.
Now there definitely are strategies for both, for short term deals. One in particular that I liked, a model that I really liked, is I had a good friend. He's still a really good friend of mine. When we were in a buyer's market, meaning the prices were low, He kind of switched from the retail side of doing uh, flips to, say, the retail market or to retail buyers, and he switched over to doing small little fix and flips for investors because he knew he could pick those properties up dirt cheap. He could turn around and sell them to investors and still really make good margins on those deals. So just throwing it out there, it might be something that if you're a fix and flipper, I mean, it's a good little it's a good little hedge in a buyer's market. Is fixing and flipping rental properties to ready buyers, ready investors.
Yeah, yeah, and you can even turnkey them. I don't know if he was turnkey
He
and like,
was.
yeah, he would
Well,
turnkey some. That's still very popular, by the way.
it
Yeah,
just depended. He did that for a little while, but he started getting feedback that obviously he's a flipper. Like he's not real good at qualifying
the
tenants.
tenants, right, right,
But
right.
he did actually bring on a property management company to place tenants, and so on a few of those, he literally had the turnkey property where he had a tenant in it and he had property management in place. Um, but I don't know this for a fact, but I think there's a large subset of investor buyers who just they want to do that on their own. They have people that they trust. So he slid out of that. He got out of that model and was just providing the properties, which his margins were phenomenal. You know,
Can we just for a second, Daggers, before we get into the strategies, finishing with the exit strategies, we talk about the market. What everybody, like the $1 million question everybody's asking, it truly could be $1 million question, right? If you're a real estate investor, is what is the market going to do in 2026? We just had another interest rate drop. Okay. So that should signal more buyers coming into the market entering the spring. Okay. That's what it should signal. If you've noticed, Mr. Coffman, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've been paying attention to this too. We've got some jackasses shouting that are real estate experts, saying that everything's going to crash and this is going to be worse than 2008, 2009, and the recession of the housing market too. I don't know what metrics they're basing that on because I don't see the same metrics. Like I don't see that when you look at, okay, what were the key things that led to the 08, 09, we'll call that a crash, right? Housing crash. I don't see those here. I don't know where they're getting that. I think they're just trying to make people fearful.
yeah,
I know nobody does that anymore. I know nobody lies. I know nobody embellishes, and I know all that, right? And like maybe it's Skynet. I don't know what it is, but I don't quite see that. Could there be a correction? Yes.
always is.
I don't think it's going to be a crash. Just me personally, I don't think it's going to be a crash like we saw in 08, 08, 09. And by the way, we just need to be ready for the correction because guess what, Mr. Kaufman? That's buy, 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 and then buy a couple more when the market corrects.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
I think
no problem. Yeah,
the only metric that I think carries over is the appreciation and or inflation. I think that's the only thing that really carries over here because all the other factors given. I mean, we had subprime lending that was a major. I mean, it was. I know people that went through the loan process and did not. I mean, they should not have been approved for a loan. I know
no,
people personally,
no.
and so that's kind of off the table now. Although it might happen. Probably some people squeaking in here and there, but it's nothing like it was. It was just mainstream
Right.
during that time frame.
Yeah.
So now all we really have is these, and this is where the correction comes in. Now we just have outrageous home prices and a little bit of a shortage of homes, which we at that time in the past during that crash 2008 2009 we didn't seem to have that shortage, that housing shortage,
Right.
and so. Um, yeah, I mean, unless we either start building more homes or start fixing up more homes, we're going to continue. I think these prices, especially, I said this about 6 or 7 months ago. I kind of predict we hit that 1 percentage point drop, that total year over year 1 percentage point drop. I just see this going crazy again, and people are. I mean, if you can get a low interest rate again, people are not going to care what the. I mean, they're going to care what their purchasing power is and what the cost of these homes are. But if you get cheap enough financing, it's just gonna, the wheel's gonna start spinning again, and I think it's just gonna go nuts.
Right. It's about people are much more. This is just me. Tell me what you think about this. People are much more about what can I afford a month than they are about the ins and outs of the loan and how much am I going to pay over 30 years. They don't friggin' care.
Yeah,
All
100.
they know is, can I make the $2,000 a month payment or can't I? And
Right,
what does that, what can I, if I can afford 2,000 a month, what house can I get?
right.
Like,
Yeah,
what is that going to get me? That's what they care about. They don't care that they're going to pay $1 million in interest over 30 years on the, you know what I mean? It doesn't register with them. It's just like, I want a reasonably nice place to live in a reasonably nice, potentially school district, so that we can indoctrinate the kids. Sorry, just toss that in a reasonably nice school district, right? And in a reasonable subdivision without fear of being shot on the street when I walk outside. It's simple things. The question is can I afford it? And that's where you mentioned the inflation being the key factor of all of that now. So yeah,
and they want it now. Like, generally speaking, it's like an impulse buy. Like when I'm actually guilty of this. Man, we're not getting into this podcast at all, but I'm really guilty of this. When it comes to vehicles. Like, if I have one bad thing go wrong with a vehicle, like, nope, I'm trading it in. I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of this thing, and I will literally come home that night with a new car. Like, I'm very impulsive that
does
way.
not surprise me yet.
And but people are like that with homes too. They're like that with homes. They get they kind of get in a trance type state, and that's all they can focus on. So
Yeah.
anyway, all right, let's get
All
into
right,
this.
sorry to digress. Let's pull it back too. Let's talk a little bit. Before we get into the different short-term strategies. Why do short-term deals still matter? Right. Let's talk a little bit about that. We put this because they give you cash. Like, let's just talk about a flip or even a wholesale. Let's say you do a wholesale deal, and wholesaling is nothing but flipping paper. It's flipping the contract. So you flip the contract and you get $10,000. Right? The $10,000 can pay for business expenses. Right? You got marketing, you got fees, you got all
Lit.
kinds of things you have to pay for, right? So that's the reason why you still want to do that. And maybe you have enough buy and hold properties that you have enough monthly cash flow. That's not a big deal, but that's a lot of the reasons. And wholesaling, talk about wholesaling, your favorite thing. People think it's easy to enter real estate investing as a wholesaler. I would beg to differ,
Oh,
but a lot
yes.
of people think that it's easy. Oh, I can just flip a contract. Like, I don't even have to worry about the house. I can just flip a piece of paper. Well, the piece of paper grows with the house, so you got to have to worry about that a little bit as well. But there's a lot of costs and expenses. The marketing, the direct mail, the phone calling, the follow up, the seller appointments, all of that. Like, you have a lot of expenses. So people want to do that so that they're supplementing your business, right? Your business and your expenses. Right? That's an important reason to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you got that right. It's I did my share of wholesaling early on, um, and I tell you, it is a tough business. It's just one of those things that uh, it's a very low barrier to entry. There's no licensing required. I mean, you're going to have to spend some money,
Yeah,
or you're going to have to spend a lot of time if you want to be a successful wholesaler. One of the two, or in
both usually.
most
Yeah.
cases, is both. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a very competitive business. It's not like, well, I mean, real estate investing as a business itself is competitive, but it's nowhere near as competitive as we see in wholesaling, because I mean, you can just go out there in the Facebook groups and you can start looking at some of those deals that some of these. I say that tongue in cheek, but some of these quote deals that these wholesalers have, and it's like, brother, where did you, where, how did you evaluate this deal? Where did this come from? I mean, and so what they're doing is they're offering higher and higher prices to just to be competitive, just to edge out other people, which that's competition. That's just what happens. But it does no good for them, and it does no good for the buyer for sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
Can I just do a little sub to empire pro tip on new wholesalers? If you cannot figure out how to evaluate the deal, stop wholesaling. Pro
Well,
tip.
learn how to evaluate a deal properly. I would. Uh, it's
Yeah,
just I'm going to stick to it. I think it's the low barrier to entry. There's no. I mean, you've got every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there just
yeah,
pushing these wholesale, these wholesale free wholesale and free wholesale course, and all of this stuff. And um, I'll tell you, when I first got into it, this is something I've never really said out loud. But I told my wife when I saw this, because I'd done, I don't know, in my first year I did a couple of first few properties I bought them subject to. I closed on them. I did a little work to them, and I sold them off. And then I saw a couple of folks on, I don't know, one or two of the socials that were doing this wholesaling thing, and I'm thinking, man, I'm gonna make $1 million off of this.
yeah. Of wholesaling, yeah,
And I did okay. I'm not gonna say I didn't do well, but I will tell you, the very first year that I was started doing that, I closed 24 deals. I had 24 deals that I managed, either flipping contracts or closing on them and then flipping them, because I needed cash, so. But I had zero time. At the time I was working a full time job and then coming home and working another full time job. I mean, I was getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, getting up and doing that 6, sometimes 7 days a week. It was a very, very competitive profession, and the results come from the hard work. But boy, when you're on vacation and you're on the beach and you're answering a phone, whew, it just got to me. It got to me, and um, this is the reason that I don't particularly care for it. I think wholesalers are necessary. I think they, particularly for those people who maybe are not good marketers, um, or maybe they're buy and hold investors, probably geared more towards the buy and hold investing side, not the flipping side. Although you can find some decent deals from time to time for flips, but it's just a tough business, man. It's a knockdown, drag out. Like, it's a tough business, but it's necessary. I do think that they're, uh, in particular, from our aspect, like for what we do, um, they come in handy to bridge gaps. And I think wholesalers bridge a lot of gaps for people that are perhaps doing their own marketing, or they have a limited marketing budget. Obviously, the best way to get to a good deal is to market directly to that deal. But depending on what methods you're using for marketing and strategies, you're going to have some space in there. It's inevitable at some point. So having wholesalers on at the ready, I think, can really help bridge that gap.
And is it me, or here in 2025, did you? Maybe it's just me. I think we've seen a lot of new wholesalers enter, at least here in the St. Louis metro area. Like, there's a lot of new wholesalers entering the market. Like, I'm getting, I don't even know how they got my name. Like, usually you have to subscribe to a list because you don't have to do that anymore in the era of Skynet. But I'm just getting like all new people, and then my favorite's just being cold called by the wholesalers. How they get my number, no one knows. I guess that no call list doesn't really mean what it used to anymore. And so I've just been, there's a lot more, but yes, they do fill a niche. That is true. And you said that it's portrayed as an easy entry point. So I mean, I guess that's some of it as well too. But you still need you don't need to spend you don't need $100,000 down payment to get a house if you're trying to wholesale it. But man, you need to spend some money on marketing, like you mentioned. I just want to. It's not zero cost.
Right.
It's lower cost. But if you're going to be a successful wholesaler, you really have to have, like you said, your marketing machine. And if
Oh,
you don't have some kind of system, like you had this whole back CRM, right? That you had set up as your system to automate some of that. And if you don't have that set up, well, first of all, you have to get the leads in. But if you don't have some system to manage leads, like you're going to collapse fast and in a hurry as a wholesaler. So
yeah,
that's a con of wholesaling. You really need to be well organized and systematized.
for sure.
Yeah, systematized. That's right.
Well, I'll tell you, I was at the peak of the time I was wholesaling. I was spending $5,000 a month on marketing,
Yep. Yep.
and like I said, I did pretty well. I did pretty well that year, but at some point, I don't know. You just have to, if you're going to get into wholesaling, understand that you're a marketer first. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of facets to wholesaling. First of all, there's marketing, figuring out the correct channels, uh, the correct channels for, well, literally everything from the lists that you buy to for you cold callers out there, to the phone numbers that you buy off of those lists, all of that good stuff. And then you have uh, kind of, well, what other aspects am I trying to think of here? But so you've got the marketing side of it. You've got that expense. Then you've got the actually managing those leads.
Yep.
And so what I'm trying to get at is a robust system for if you're gonna try and scale and get that big. Which, by the way, I want to talk about scale with wholesalers. There is no such thing. If you have a wholesaling company, you cannot scale by definition, because scaling would assume, or it's implied, that in order to scale, you must have assets. The only assets that a wholesaler has are the contracts that it holds, or that he or she holds. That's it. And those contracts are flipped. Those contracts are sold. So you have no real assets. I mean, that's just my kind of take on it. The way I look at scaling, if you're talking about scaling as a wholesaler, it is literally growing the company in size. It's growing your marketing budget in size, and crossing your fingers that the market either holds up, or that your marketing, the actual marketing that you're doing, is effective. So you constantly have to keep your finger on the pulse, or on the trigger, um, on the pulse of how your marketing is performing. It's a very tough business, man. It's not for the
Wholesaling. Yeah, I like to, in my mind, I like to say, like, wholesaling is transactional.
yeah,
Buy and hold is transformational,
yeah,
potentially.
yeah.
Like, if you do it right and you keep building, I was like, so it's transactional versus is it a good place to start? Sure. Will you learn a bunch of stuff? Absolutely. Will you be 1,000 times more confident talking to sellers, motivated sellers? 100%, right? Because that's all you're going to be freaking doing,
Yeah.
right? For the most part, if your marketing machine's working, right, and you're going to learn how to be a good marketer. So
Yeah, that's a really good point, man. When I started doing it, they say you got to get your 10,000 hours. Well, um, I don't know if I got 10,000 hours. That's a long time, but I will say it did really help coach me up and train me on how to talk to people. And most wholesalers, when they first get in it, it's the fake it to make it, fake it till you make it type of thing. And eventually, what I learned with that, and this is something I think every wholesaler should take away: start off with the truth. Start off with honesty. It's much easier to talk yourself out of a hole if you're just honest with someone. They may or may not like it. You may be extremely nervous, and especially in the beginning, talking to these folks. But start off with honesty. I mean, kind of what I got to it towards the, I guess, the midway point of wholesaling when I would talk to a seller is, hey, I'd say, hey, I make them an offer, and I'd say, I'm probably just going to flip this thing. I'm probably just going to just sell this contract. I'll find you a buyer. I wouldn't say it necessarily that bluntly, but I'd say, hey, I'm probably gonna flip this thing. I need to make a little off of it too. So I mean, uh, I'll find you a really good buyer, and that's really, I think that's probably why I got, or had the little bit of success that I did in that year. Was I just, it's like, man, I can't lie to these people. I just can't, because most wholesalers, as you know, are going out and saying, I'm going to buy and I'm going to close on it, and then next thing you
Yes.
know, it's just given the whole industry, even outside of wholesaling, giving it a bad name.
Yeah.
So start off with the truth, if or as very close to the truth as you can possibly get without giving away all of your, giving away your soul type of thing. But but anyway, that's just a little bit of a piece of advice.
Yes. Here's Sub to Empire pro tip number 2 of the day. Always act with integrity and honesty.
Yeah,
And if you can't, then do something else.
that goes for any business, but there's some scoundrels out there, man. There really are.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. So that's wholesaling, and let's move on to like everybody watches the old flipping shows on home HGTV, Home and Garden Television, and all that stuff too. Um, by the way, just as an aside, once again, sorry, before we get into the flipping too, those shows that you see, what is flipping Vegas with that one guy who is a complete ass Scott or something is his name out there that flips Las Vegas houses and all that. Those numbers that you see there are a lie. Period. End of story.
Yeah.
All right. That is not the whole story in there. That might be materials cost. That's not materials and labor cost.
Yeah.
So let's make sure that we have an understanding that that's not portrayed exactly, accurately, and correctly.
Yeah.
Okay. You cannot flip a 2,000 square foot home. You cannot update and renovate a 2,000 square foot home for $30,000 today. Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. So just FYI.
Yep.
Yeah.
So are we talking about flipping now? What are we?
Yeah. Flipping like the standard. Yeah. I buy the property, I renovate it, and then I retail sell it on the retail market. I put it in the MLS. Typically, what that would mean is that it goes on the MLS with the realtor to try. And it is true. Like let's not miss out. Like realtors are a pain in my ass. I have my real estate license, but not to be a real estate agent necessarily. You do get more. You do get more for your dollars. Like you can price it better if you're putting it into the MLS than if you're trying to sell it yourself. Outside of maybe seller financing, which we talked about last week. But outside of that, just to let you know. So this is buy the property low, fix it up, retail sell it, fix and flip.
Yeah. There's I'm just gonna say I've done all kinds of flips. Numbers don't even matter. But there was a time when I very first started out flipping. I I guess what I'm trying to say is flipping scales. So
Yes.
the less you put into a property, the less you're obviously going to sell that property for. But don't let that deter you, because a lot of times those margins are still very, very good.
Yep.
And this is where I got caught up in. Eventually, the flips that I was doing, they were decked out to the nines, man. I mean, when they're talking like you're just trying to hit top of the market, and that became kind of my thing. I just love the whole process of watching something come from nothing into something spectacular. Um, but I just want to offer that is not something that everybody needs to do. You do not have to go all in. And I only bring this up because you're talking about that Vegas show where they just everything's to the nines. Everything is top notch, top dollar,
Yep.
and you don't need to do that to make. And one of the major issues with that is if you're gonna go that route, oftentimes it takes you a lot longer to get that stuff, either whether it's materials or find the actual the expert uh, the expert trades that need to complete that stuff. You don't have to go that route. You really don't. There's if and one of my main philosophies, is to try and get in and out as fast as possible. So I just want to say, keep it in mind that when you go to flip a property, it does not have to be to the nines. I'm guilty of doing it. I mean, we just had that property last year that we flipped on Santiago, and we started off with a modest rehab on it, and eventually it was just like you know, I get so I just wanted to make it unquestionably marketable, you know. And so that's what but there are buyers. I would say this too: there is a buyer for everything. There really is, especially if you're in a, kind of in between, right in the middle, maybe of a buyer and seller's market. We were in a major seller's market at that time, and so houses were just boom. They were just being, I mean, they were being sold so fast and so quickly. And I think ours sold in what, we had it closed, and I think we had we had that bad weather that one week.
Yes, that was so. It was probably twice as long as it should have been because yeah, we had that snow. Yes, we
Yeah,
had
we
that
had
bad
snow
snowstorm.
twice, as a
Yeah,
matter of fact.
yes, yes, it
Yeah.
did. Yep.
So
So it was within a month. I think we had it done in a month, but it probably should have gone in a week. It
yeah,
wasn't yet, but
yeah. But
the
I
but
just want to make that clear. You don't have to go to the nines with these things. There's a buyer for everything. Just understand that you're going to have to price it accordingly. You're not going to do a crappy rehab job and then try and sell it top of the retail market.
right. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. So what you're really saying is that you don't need to spend 85 on the rehab if a $60,000 rehab is still going to get you a good profit.
Yep.
That's really what we're saying here. The question then becomes is what is the price point from the 60 rehab versus the price point from the 80 rehab? And if you're not getting double that, in other words, if you can't get another $40,000 for your price for $20,000 of rehab, that's when you should be rethinking that. It's like, okay, so if I scale this back a little bit, I might make 30,000 instead of 45, but I'll be in and out faster, right? So now you're going to reduce holding costs. So you have to take all that stuff into account. And by the way, you better be able to figure out your damn numbers on your rehab, by the way, as well, right? You better be able to, like as a wholesaler, you need to be able to comp properly, right? But here, you really need to know how to, what are your materials costing? How long is it going to take? Do you have crews? Are you doing the work yourself? All this stuff has a factor in there, and you better be able to navigate all that, especially when you're first starting out. After you've done a few, it becomes easier because the construction guys, you know where to go to get, the system.
Yeah.
Like we kind of put a system together for the last few that we've done here. Like it's going to be this tile, it's going to be this. We're going to get all that stuff. But when you're first starting out, man, it's very easy on your first two or three flips to be $20,000 over cost in a heartbeat,
Yep.
right? And 3 months behind in a heartbeat because we didn't schedule this right. We didn't line the trades up properly. If you're we call that GC, general contracting it yourself, right? You got to think about all those things, and it's fine. Like start out smaller. Like
Yeah.
we're doing condo flips. Start out in a smaller little condo flip. That way, like your margin of error, your risk is way down from a time perspective. And like, if you're doing 1,000 square foot condo, it's a lot different than doing a 2,500 square foot home. So just try to figure out what's best for you to come in and do the market.
I think if you're thinking about becoming a flipper, I think that's good advice. Start small, because you know, as you grow, you're going to become a little more visionary. Your different ideas are going to come. You're going to figure out what has worked and what hasn't worked. And I think that, perfect example of this is, I'll talk, we'll continue on that Santiago project that we did. Um, Perfect example of this was when I first started, that house was a 3 bed, 1.5 bath.
Yep.
And when I first started, I probably would have just left it that. I would have fixed up the bath. I had to totally rehab the bathrooms and rework them all. But I probably wouldn't have had the vision early on to go in there and go, you know what, we're gonna make this a true 3-2. And to your point, every dollar that you spend on a rehab must have a return. It has to have a return. And so what we did was we looked in that particular area where this property was located. We saw what 3 bed, 1.5 baths were selling for. We saw what 3 bed true 2 bath homes were selling for, and we could at least double our money on that little investment of blowing out that bathroom. We stole a little space from the walk-in closet, put a shower in there, did it up all nice and everything. And I think that one, we made some money on that one, but I don't think we would have made near as much. I mean, probably we definitely wouldn't have lost money on that house for sure, but we definitely wouldn't have had the margins if we hadn't added the second bathroom for sure.
Yeah, that was the key one that probably got
Yeah.
that kept a nice profit margin. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
So I mean, we could do an entire year on flipping. I mean, every little asset. I mean, it's just
good.
But that's just
we're buying. We always say this. We're buying whole, guys.
Yeah.
So why are we talking about flipping? Well, because just what we're talking about here, right? Because sometimes we want short-term cash.
Yep.
Sometimes we do that too, and sometimes deals come across your table where the margins are so good, it's just dumb not to.
Yeah. Yep.
So some of that's been happening, and we partner with our students, right? Oh, shameless plug. I would toss them up too, but let me go. We partner with our students, and one of our students wanted to do I'm more interested in doing flips and buying holds. Okay, we'll help you do flips. It's not that we don't like flips. It's just that if you want to build true wealth and you want to replace your income, you got to be a buy and hold investor. Yeah. You can replace. Let me take that back. You can replace your income if you're fixing and flipping, but man, it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot of effort because you have to have a lot of systems, and you constantly have to have the turnover. And when the market goes down, we talked about this at the beginning. When the market goes down, from a fix and flip perspective, right? What do? So that's why you need to diversify your real estate holdings, just like
not to mention the tax ramifications of flips. That's of course I'm not a CPA. I'm not even a tax. I hate taxes. I hate bookkeeping. I can't stand it. But I can tell you, I've never paid more in taxes than I did on
when you were wholesaling.
It's ordinary income. So totally different taxing category. It's I mean, there's even we get down to the nitty gritty. Just because you're a flipper does not make you a quote real estate professional. In order to be a real estate professional, you need buy and hold properties where you get the benefits from. I say benefits. You get some relief from off of your from your tax filings from year to year. But I mean, there's so much to flipping, and so I think the overall advice here is to start small if you're new. And I would you're very good at this. I would document everything. I would literally. I mean, I'm decent at it. I'm good at it. You're over the top with it. You're just out in another like a stratosphere somewhere. But yeah, document everything so I mean, what you have a really good guess or really educated guess about what your end margins are going to be.
So, all right, let's move on to the combination platter of the wholesaling and the straight rehab is wholetailing. So, Mr. Coffman, just real quick, what is wholetailing?
So wholetailing, it actually encompasses a few different things. It just depends on what level. It actually has to do with the property type, and there's a lot of different variables. But wholetailing is nothing more than purchasing a property, actually closing on that property, turning around and flipping that property to either somewhere. They almost all get listed on the MLS. I mean, some of them do. Some people do for sale by owners. Some people do seller financing to say flippers or even end buyers. But wholetailing is nothing more than getting a property under contract, closing on it, and then dispoing that to an end buyer. The key there is an end buyer. So there's a bunch of different aspects to this, but I will tell you, I'm just going to give you an idea about what my favorite model is when it comes to wholetailing. What I like to do, and this is leans kind of more on the wholesale side, because generally on the wholesale side we're selling to investors. That's what I like to do with wholetailing as well. So what I'll do is I'll buy a property, particularly, and we're going to tie this all in a little bit later. I like to buy it creatively if I can, one way or another. I like to buy it, close on it, and then what I prefer to do is I go in and we call it sweeping it clean. But that sweeping it clean entails getting it ready, completely ready for the rehabber to come in. So you kind of got to have a little bit of a vision about this. So, for example, if you bought a property that had old carpets, old cracked up tile, if it needed a kitchen replaced, bathrooms replaced, what I would do is I would go and close on that property, like I said, and I would go in and make sure all of that stuff was taken care of. I get all the roll offs in there that I needed to get it in there, and literally have that property ready to go for an investor buyer. And um, the margins, the margins are pretty insane in wholetailing. Why is that? Well, number one, hopefully you've bought it creatively and you've got a really good. Uh,
Mm.
you're
You
in
built
it.
it because you built the margin, right?
Right?
Yep.
Um, but number two, your investor buyer has nothing to do. So I'll give you another example. We've got a guy in the partner program who just closed on a property here in St. Louis, and I'm really, really, really urging him to wholesale this thing. And so, what would it take to get this property into wholesale condition so that he can sell it to an investor buyer? So he can be in and out of this thing super, super quick. So on this particular property, the house has a tarp on the roof right now. I would say go ahead, put a roof on it.
Mm.
It's got a ton of mold in it, so I would go ahead and have the mold remediated, and then I would also put in an HVAC system, brand new HVAC. Those are three things that whoever his end buyer does not have to do. Then I would clean that house out. I would get any old cabinetry. I would make it so that when somebody walked in, they can start day one. That's what I like to do. Even so much, I joked about sweeping it clean, but literally sweeping it clean, make it a nice clean slate for this investor buyer. And that is my favorite model. That's what I love to do. If it means cleaning up brush or getting the yard cleaned up, nothing. There's no major labor that needs to happen other than systems, which you're going to call in the trades for. But just getting it to a point where you're there's this old I don't know, I think I heard it on a podcast, but there's this advice that some of these business people do. It's like if you sell raw material, you're getting literally pennies on the dollar. You're earning pennies on the dollar for raw material. But if you take that raw material, you do one thing to it, you turn it into, I don't know, let's say if you sell a whole tree, you're going to get 3 cents a tree. If you turn that into firewood, now you're up to 20 cents, 25 cents per log. It's that same type of thing. You're putting in some work, making these properties. I don't want to say turnkey, but you're making these properties turnkey for them, preparing them for being
For the investor,
it's
right?
really, and it's the most beautiful thing about it is short hold times, really short. You can get a property cleaned up no more than a month, no more than a month, and You can be marketing that property, by the way, the entire time. So a lot of power in this strategy, and it's my favorite thing to do. Unfortunately, I got into more of the, oh, look at this shiny, new
Shiny,
shiny
the
stuff,
bigger rehabs.
but
Yeah.
it is my favorite strategy to use.
What I like to call wholetailing, fixing the festering wounds, and then letting somebody else do the details.
Yeah,
So, like you said, the roof. Yep, I'm going to put a roof on. And so, just from a number standpoint, let's just like hypothetically speaking. Let's say I picked up the property for $50,000. I'm going to spend $15,000 on the roof, the HVAC, and cleaning the mold up. Right.
like,
So now I'm
yeah.
65. Let's say it's 20. I'm
Yeah.
70 into it.
Hmm.
Well, I'm going to sell the property for 110, because when the investor comes in there, it's going to be 160 or 170. Like, you need to know your numbers, right? You need to know like where the margins are so you can price appropriately, right? You got to be good at comping, right? Deal evaluation, like it sounds like maybe what we should start getting into next. Deal evaluation in a little more detail, but you have to know your margins. But man, there's a lot of there. So, so Mr. Coffman, if if I gave you $15,000 and you gave me back 40, would you keep doing that deal over and over again?
I have done that deal
So
over and over.
you're going to spend 15 fixing it up, but you're going to make 40 on it.
Yeah,
So, like,
yeah,
wholesaling.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And the other one, I will tell you that the very, very first house I ever bought, I bought it. So this is where we're going to kind of tie the creative side into this.
yeah.
Don't be confused about the financing on this. You can buy any of these strategies we're talking about. You can use subject to financing to purchase these.
100%.
Right? The prime example of this was the very first house that I ever bought back in 2015. Um, this house, great shape, is a 4-bed, 1-bath on a slab. Everyone told me not to buy it, but I bought it anyway because this home was in a really, really great area, excellent schools, really good schools, on a nice big corner lot. But people told me, don't buy it, it's on a slab. Well, guess what? I bought it subject to. So I got, not only did I get a really great price on the house, I got it was a loan modification. I got that at, I want to say it was either 325 or 3.75, one of the two. So
Dirt cheap, either
dirt,
way.
dirt cheap money, dirt cheap money.
Yep.
So I bought the house, I closed on it. I actually helped the seller move out to another rental property. And then I turned around. All I did to this house, I didn't paint it or anything. I brought in cleaners. I was in there scrubbing on it. I was cleaning. I had in the garage. I actually the garage was full of crap, so I just posted on Craigslist, free stuff. Come and get it. I took some pictures, put it on Craigslist, and I had hordes of people coming in and help me clean out the garage. So that actually, and I just gave all that stuff away for free. So I had a small dumpster there that we filled up. The garage is clean. There was one room in the house that needed flooring. I'm sorry, there were two. There were two back bedrooms. They needed flooring. So what we do, we one weekend went and put flooring down. I turned around. I think I bought that house for, I think the loan balance on it, if I'm not mistaken, was 114. No, I'm sorry, it was 104. I turned around and put that house on the market for 150. Had an offer on the first day, and that offer, um, man, what did we list it for? I can't remember exactly what we listed it for. I think it was 195 or 194. And brother, I'm in this thing for, I'm in this thing for about, with loan payments and everything, insurance and everything, I'm into this thing maybe $9,000, something like that.
Yep.
And that was my very first deal. So you can just imagine.
You got lit on fire right off the bat. Isn't that how the universe does it? They light you on fire,
Yeah.
and then after you like got a little experience, they smack you right in the face with.
That's true. That is very true.
Just to keep you honest. Yeah.
So that is actually another form of wholetailing, where if you have a house that's nice enough that can have a an owner occupant purchase it on the retail market.
Yep.
100% get in there, clean it up. Like I said, I didn't even paint. I painted nothing. We just went in
Yep.
and cleaned out the cobwebs and cleaned it all up, got all the grease off of the stoves and everything, put it right back out there, and we had an offer on the first day.
Yep.
We had it under contract on the first day. So
Yep.
just another another type of wholesale deal is what that is.
Yep. And
Just
I
a different
like,
way.
you mentioned that the San Diego project, that was a sub two deal.
Mhm.
The that was a straight flip, right? But one of the reasons why it was so attractive from a flip perspective was because we already knew the holding costs, right? We controlled the holding costs because of the sub two note. So we knew what that number was, and that was a stupid low number too, wasn't
Yeah,
that another one was like 375 or 425 or
I think it
something?
was in the fours. I think that one was in the fours.
And so that one was, I mean, it was like, oh yeah, well we're only paying what on the hold, so yeah,
Yeah,
it's just a great way to manage your holding costs to do a sub two on the flip. But can we just give the word of warning though, because like wholesalers like to get sub two now. We've talked about that many times on here, where the wholesaler has no freaking idea what they're doing as relates to sub two. And so if you're a wholesaler, don't assign a subject to deal.
very dangerous.
Don't assign it. You
Yeah,
want to novate that. Okay? And if you don't know what that is, then what you're going to do is you're going to click on this QR code that I'm going to put up there, and we're going to show you how to properly wholesale, right? Subject to deals. So just be careful with that. Like if you're a wholesaler and you don't know the subject to, because there's a lot of paperwork that goes along with that to cover your asset and to cover the other, to protect the buyer, the seller as well, right? So if you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. That's a dangerous thing to
yeah,
do.
you get a lot
But
of
you can successfully. I don't like even using the term wholesale. You can sell subject to deals, right? But you want to novate that. You want to sign it. You want to novate it. Um, and there's a proper way to do that. So I'm just going to be a little careful with that. But you can creatively do all of this stuff. Maybe what's even better too is like you can seller finance it, right? Doesn't necessarily have to be a loan on it. Maybe it's a free and clear property. Maybe they just want to go downsize into an assisted living facility or something like that. Have them finance it for you, and especially if it's like maybe that's a better buy and hold situation too. But maybe it really needs a lot of updating, and you're just like, okay, this is a good profit margin. Have them sell or finance it to you for a couple of years,
yep,
right? Put a balloon on that thing or something like that. Like you
yeah,
just think there's lots of ways to skin the cat. Lots of ways to skin the cat.
yeah. I just think that again, I'm just a broken record here, but honestly, if you're never ever going to get better financing than particularly subject to, and probably or a combination of subject to and some sort of uh, seller carry, or uh, just one of those options. You're never going to find better financing anywhere, and um, I'm super glad that I was able to learn this stuff early on, and because I have applied it literally for the past, I'm going on 11 years now. I have applied it for the last 11 years, and without fail. Um, Maybe on a few occasions there were some some tighter deals, but that's where you're able to get even more creative, and there you don't need permission from anyone to negotiate a creative deal. And I think that people start listening to folks out here, in Facebook land and everything, and they just get super scared of it. Um, but I will tell you, it has saved my ass many, many times. It is. In fact, it's done more than save my ass. It has actually helped me to. It has helped me. I call them competition, but it has helped me beat my competition. I mean, there's so many so many benefits, so many upsides to creative financing. It's
Yeah, 100%. It's control and options.
100%.
That,
Yep.
that's what it is. It gives you control of the deal and so many different exit options,
Yep.
exit strategies on the backside when you creatively, whether it's subject to, whether it's seller financing, like you said, hybrid combination of both. Like there's so many different things you can do. Maybe you're partnering with somebody too. Like maybe you're doing a subject to deal, but there's still a gap. Like you still need that $25,000 or $30,000 funding gap, right? Well, you can bring a partner in to do that, right? And now you have zero out of pocket. You
Yep.
got to pay. You got to pay somebody for that gap, but
Yep.
you can control the deal. What we're trying to say is that the creative financing allows you to structure and control the deals and provide options for you that don't exist otherwise.
And it doesn't matter what type of deal it is because it's just a financing option. That's it.
Yep.
It doesn't it doesn't matter if this is a wholesale deal, although you did discuss that a little bit about wholesaling subject to deals. It doesn't matter if it's a wholesale or a flip. I mean, it doesn't matter because it's just financing. And I just want to remind everybody that um, you have to remember that if the property has a mortgage on it, 9 times out of 10, that deal has already been funded, meaning there's not too much of, that mortgage isn't too far paid down. You have to come up with a bunch of cash out of pocket. But the deal is already funded. Walk into every seller appointment thinking that has a mortgage on it, by the way, thinking that the deal is already funded. And this was a huge turning point for me. I know I've talked about this at uh, like conferences and stuff. And people were like, people just, it seemed to just kind of not hit them the way that it hit me. I'm not saying it went over the head. It just didn't. When I realized, when I really, really thought about it, I was like, wait a minute, this deal's already funded. Now I get to go out and I get to do some. I get to concentrate on something else, which is seller building rapport with the seller. That's the most important key, the most important part. Once for me, once that monkey was off my back, it was, oh my god, how am I going to pay for this thing? I've got to go out. How much is it going to cost me and all this stuff? It's completely gone. Once I talked to that seller about the financing option or the subject to option, I'm in the clear, man. I mean, it's just such a great feeling, and uh, it benefits everyone. Benefits everyone. So
Yep. And so we'll leave you once again. We have managed to turn around and talk real estate for another hour. So
yep,
we'll leave you with the short-term exits, right? Designed to grab you quick cash. Buy and hold exits that we talked about last week, designed for wealth building, right? Cash flow, but wealth building. They're what's going to get you where you want to go long term, right? So that's what we'll leave you with. Again, partner with us. We got all kinds of stuff out there. Good God, just find us, ask us any questions you want, and by all means, share the podcast with others.
that's right. All right, man. Well, I'm once again out of words, so I don't think that's possible. But anyway, guys, thanks for joining us. We'll catch you guys next week. And until then, have a good one. We'll see you.